I have some actual good news related to the Women's March, which has unfortunately become very toxic and counterproductive as a movement over the last year or so. The Women's March is replacing 3 inaugural board members and co-founders who I've talked about before. 3 people who have been dogged by endless problems of marginalizing people who aren't the right type of intersectional, allegations of anti-Semitism, marginalization of Jewish women who want to be part of the movement. And I'm talking, of course, about Bob Bland, Tamika Mallory, and Linda Sarsour. Sarsour, of course, is now a Bernie Sanders surrogate. I told you that about a week or 2 ago, something that Bernie should be 110% disassociating himself from. Maybe this will push him to do that. There will be a new set of 16 board members coming in, including 3 Jewish women and a trans woman and a whole bunch of other people. Now, to be totally honest, this strikes me as too little too late. The Women's March name at this point is quite tarnished. The relationships with historically allied communities like the Jewish community, one of the forefront civil rights advocate communities in the United States historically, it may be irreparably frayed. I'm not saying I want it to be. I'm saying it may be. I'm glad that Mallory, Bland, and Sarsour are going bye-bye. But I'm just wondering out loud, not in a rhetorical sense, but I'm just wondering, is this an organization that is going to have a role in the 2020 election? Because you have a progressive movement that's more engaged than ever. You have new coalitions of all kinds that includes a very varied list of groups that are ready to go and working on the ground. The Women's March has been dogged by these people. It's become extremely divisive. And to be honest, this is also, it's almost like too friendly a way of cutting ties with absolutely toxic people. The 3 board members have stepped down. It's unclear whether they were forced or not. It seems a little bit soft. The statement that was put out by the Women's March is completely gushing about the groundbreaking work and sacrifices towards equal rights, unless, of course, you don't fit the right version of intersectionality, in which case you're marginalized. And it's also unclear how much the people that remain or are replacing them are fans of, for example, Louis Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam milieu, with which Sarsour and Mallory, at least, and I'm not sure about Bob Bland, were affiliated with. I just don't know. And I don't want to belittle people when they make the right decision. The right decision is that these 3 have no business being part of a group that claims to be about inclusivity and egalitarianism and all of that. No question about it. At the same time, it's hard to see this and have sort of a renewed enthusiasm for an organization whose rallies have become sort of secondary to the internal conflicts and the discrediting of potential and actual constituent activists. And it is sad because it started with at least ideas that are really good ideas that I'm behind. The upside is that I do see the momentum of the progressive movement having legs in 2020 that go way beyond the Women's March, and that's a great thing. The Women's March at this point is not going to be central to what happens in 2020. It's all of the other progressive activism, which is so widespread at this point in time, and that's a good thing. We don't want a prominent organization to progressive activism that functions as a sort of gatekeeper that says, well, Jewish women, they're not really intersectional in the way that we want. And now the question is, will Bernie Sanders disavow Linda Sarsour as a surrogate, a totally divisive character? She shouldn't be involved with a good progressive campaign like the one that Bernie is running. And by the way, I expected wholly negative reactions to my segment last week or the week before saying Linda Sarsour should not be a Bernie surrogate. There was a little bit of that toxic left that didn't like it, but overwhelmingly positive response to that. And that may have been an area I would have previously self-censored on. So that's great.